The first thing you have to do when graphing exponential functions is to identify certain characteristics of exponential graphs. This kind of functions will always be represented by y, and will always have an horizontal asymptote that crosses through the y-axis, and you can identify this asymptote by the left constant in the equation. Also, it is important to mention reflections and asymptotes that exponential functions have. An exponential function will always have an horizontal asymptote through the y-axis, and the reference point will always be 0, 1, and of course it will be increasing. In case of having a reflection in x, will always be totally reflected over the x-axis. So if you have the reference point 0, 1, it will only be reflected over the x-axis, exactly the same. Identifying y-axis refraction is when you have a negative sign in front of the exponential number. So if the reflection in x is reflected over the x, the reflection in y will be reflected over the y. So if you have the parent function that goes increasing, you just change the side over the y-axis and it will be an increasing graph now. Also, it is important to mention that if you have a number between 0 and 1, ¿cómo se dice, güey? It is important to mention that if you have a number between 0 and 1, you will always as well have a reflection in y. So there's two cases of reflection in y. For example, a decimal or a fraction which the denominator is bigger than the upper number. Okay, so an example of graphing will be the first step to identify the reference point. The second step to identify the horizontal asymptote, which is 1, the constant number left, and you graph it. The second step will be to move the reference point 1 up, since you move your asymptote 1 up, and move the reference point 3 points to the right. Since this number is with the x, you move the point in the x-axis 3 points. Since you have a negative number but you change it to a positive one, so you move it 1 to the top and 1, 2, 3 here, and we don't have any reflection, and we don't have any reflection over the x or over the y, so it's just an increasing graph.